Hey y'all know what day it is, spoilers abound as always. Today's Sunday anime couple review is gonna be about these two. Ichigo and Orihime are close friends. The two first met at high school and became friends early on. Orihime always had feelings for Ichigo that gradually intensified as the two found themselves interacting more after he became a Soul Reaper. Orihime had first met Ichigo under tragic circumstances, as she took her severely injured brother to a clinic that Ichigo's father owned, and watched him die there. By the time they started high school, Orihime had already developed an interest in Ichigo and was even teased for this by her best friend, Tatsuki, who was also friends with him. She would sometimes fantasize about him in comedic ways. Their relationship is often very sincere and wholesome. Ichigo is normally quick to annoy and can be seen arguing with others. But when it comes to Orihime, he is much kinder and gentler. He is even indulging of her silly nature and will act comical with her from time to time. On another occasion, Ichigo notably appeared upset when Orihime had been tricked into helping Tsukishima after he had implanted her mind with false memories of them being friends, and thus she chose to aid him. He is very susceptible to Orihime, as when he realized he had unnerved her with his hollow mask, he began to lose his battle focus against Grimmjow. But once she shouted her support for him, he was able to regain his momentum. He has come to save her from attacks numerous times, such as from Yami and Grimmjow. This protectiveness is something that even Rukia, his close friend, picks up on, and in order to motivate him to become stronger in spite of his concern for the hollow inside him, she drags him to Orihime and makes him promise that he will protect her. This results in Ichigo doing everything he can to become stronger and overcome his hollow. He cares about her deeply, and when she was kidnapped by Aizen, he became furious. He then entered Hukomundo and faced the Rainkar against the orders of the Soul Society just to save her. He would fight and defeat both Grimmjow and Alquiorra just for her. He became furious when Alquiorra revealed that he had blackmailed Orihime to come with him to Hukomundo. He made the Soul Society believe she had actually joined them and became their enemy. When Ichigo was apparently killed by Alquiorra, he was able to recover through the sheer willpower to protect her, as he could hear her call his name and told himself that he will protect her. Back on his feet, he allowed his inner hollow to take over and relentlessly fought Alquiorra until he killed him. Whilst in this form, Ichigo's protectiveness of Orihime stood out, as he was more than willing to attack his friend Yuryu. But when he turned to her, he stuttered the words, "I will help you." This protective nature of Orihime has, however, led to enemies using her as a means to bait him, as Aizen revealed he kidnapped her because he knew Ichigo, one of the Soul Society's strongest assets, would attempt to save her, thus leaving Soul Society weakened. Orihime thanks Ichigo for not dying. Orihime is very kind to Ichigo, but can be submissive to her own feelings for him. She feels very jealous due to Ichigo's close friendship with Rukia, and admitted this to Ranjiku, who comforted her about her feelings. Ranjiku is sensitive to the feelings of others. When Orihime Inoue feels depressed about her role in Ichigo Kurosaki's life, Orihime is also very worried for his well-being and becomes agitated when he has been hurt in battle and can even feel the pain herself. She will try her best to heal him with her powers, such as after his first brief encounter with Aizen, and when she saw how injured he was in his training with execution, she runs over to him in distress and starts to heal him. They both shared a brief moment after Ichigo's victory over Byakuya, where she tearfully apologizes for not being of any use to him and thanks him for not dying, admitting that she was so worried for him. Furthermore, Orihime seems to have a very strong natural bond with Ichigo. She is capable of deducing Ichigo's mental and emotional state better than anybody else and is able to detect him by scent alone. Despite Ichigo being masked by the visor, she could still sense his spiritual pressure and locate him. At one point, she becomes concerned for him when he appears to be hiding something from her. And when talking to Yuryu, admits that she senses a change in him but will wait for him to tell her. Despite her love for him, she can be scared by his incredible and ominous power. When she first witnessed his hollow form, she became unnerved by the sight, which bothered Ichigo and disturbed his battle focus against Grimmjow. It was only after she was reprimanded by Nell that she overcame her concerns and shouted words of encouragement to him. She felt guilty when, in her despair, she called out for Ichigo's help and he transformed in order to protect her as he lost control of his own body to his inner hollow. During their battle with Yuach, when Ichigo transformed once again, she could only stare in horror as she was worried his body had been taken over by his inner hollow once more, but was relieved to see he was still the Ichigo she knew. One thing I didn't get to cover was when Orihime got abducted by Ulquiorra. When she was kidnapped by Ulquiorra, he granted her wish to be able to say goodbye to her friends. But she could only do so to one person, and that person, nor anybody else, could not be aware of her presence. Although she had numerous choices, she chose to visit Ichigo, who was unconscious. She leaned over an unconscious Ichigo and contemplated kissing him, but tearfully pulled back. She anguishes over her situation, listing all the things she wanted to do with her life, and wishes she had 5 lives so she could do everything she wanted, but says that in every single one of those lives she would fall in love with only him. When she witnessed Ulquiorra seemingly kill Ichigo by blowing a hole through his chest, Orihime falls into a pit of complete despair and begins to panic as she kneels by his lifeless body, filled with tears and unsure what to do. Her tears, desperation, and cry for help for Ichigo is able to bring him back from the brink of death. Despite being tricked by Tsukishima with false memories, her love for Ichigo unravels his effects on her, and she begins to question why she feels the need to cry when she thinks Ichigo is crying. She desperately calls out for him not to cry as her body fills up with pain at the thought of Ichigo's despair. She was relieved to see he was not actually crying before soon after being knocked out by Kisuke. Although she is grateful for everything Ichigo has done for her, Orihime is constantly wrought with guilt as she feels like she is nothing more than a burden to him. As such, she desires to strengthen herself in order to one day fight alongside him. She impressed him when she both protected him and attacked Kugo during their training session, and, on another occasion, was able to protect him again, this time from Yuryu's attack at the entrance to the throne room in Soul Society. Before facing Yuach, Ichigo was more than willing to put his full trust in Orihime to be by his side and be in charge of the defense. Orihime was overjoyed at this, as after so long she was now able to fight alongside him. 10 years after the events of the 1,000-year Blood War arc, Ichigo and Orihime happily marry each other and have a son named Kazui. As a result of his birth, he demonstrated incredible potential at a young age, already being capable of manifesting a Zanpakuts prior to adolescence. Kazui would later be appointed as the official substitute Shinigami of Karakura Town in service to Soul Society, succeeding his father who held the position before him. He dreams of becoming a hero that will bring peace to the world, feverishly working to become the strongest Shinigami he can be, which contrasts with his father's more modest intentions. Alright, homies. That's the end of my review of Orihime and Ichigo. To sum it up, the only way the writer was going to subvert expectations. On a shonen manga, Enum was to switch it up with the pairs in the show manga, which was smart. Alright, that's end of my vid.